Hello! So today we are going to be talking about how you can learn a language at home. Obviously we're all stuck at home. If you've always wanted to learn a specific language, I think now more than ever would be such a good time to do it, and I think it would be such a cool way of spending your time right now. Just imagine when all of this is over and we can finally travel again, you can go to that country and you'll know how to speak their language, and I think it'll be that much more rewarding. So I would definitely encourage any of you who want to learn a language, I would really encourage you definitely try and do it now. I'm basically going to be giving you guys tips on how you can easily do this at home, and all the tips I'm going to be giving you guys are really simple and I think quite relatively easy to implement into your daily routine, but they're also extremely effective. And these are all things that I have done and definitely helped me. To give you guys some background, I am a French student, I guess you could say. I did French GCSE, I got an A star, and I did French A level and got an A. So I feel like I have definitely picked up a few things along the way. All the tips I'm going to be giving you guys, you can definitely apply it to all languages, but for you French speakers out there, I've got a few of my personal tips to give you guys, like my favourite French TV shows, my favourite French music. Definitely stay tuned for that. And all the tips I'm going to be giving you, once you implement them, I think it definitely makes the language learning process much more enjoyable and much more fun. So the first tip that I have for you guys, this one is a game changer. Put your phone in the language. So I put my phone in French in year 11 when I was doing my GCSE, and I haven't changed it back since. And honestly, like, my whole phone is in French and it's just like second nature to me now, which is so weird because when I first changed it to the language, I was like, oh my god, I don't understand anything, a bit overwhelming. Obviously when you first change it to the language, don't be too hard on yourself if you feel a bit lost. I definitely felt like that, but it's been in French now for literally so long. I'm on my phone a lot, like I'm on my phone all the time. I feel like a lot of us are on our phones a bit too much, so honestly changing it to the language is such a good way to be seeing the language a lot and also hearing it, because my Siri is in French as well. Bonjour Siri.
Bien le bonjour. Est-ce que je peux vous aider?
I think it's all about trying to immerse yourself with that language as much as possible. This is a great way to do that. Tip number 2, keep a journal where you only write in the language. So I have a journal where I only write it in French and I write in it pretty consistently. When I first started doing this, it was when I was doing my A levels, and I would write in it every single evening what happened during that day, all in French. And I could not express enough how much this helped me. Say something really weird happens in your day and then you can't express it in the language because you're like, oh, I don't know the vocab for this. So it literally forces you to learn loads of really cool new words. It improves my grammar so much, improved my imperfect tense and my perfect tense, because obviously you're talking about what happened in the day. You can make it fun, you know, decorate your journal. I'm a sucker for stationery, so I decorated mine a lot. It's so fun and like rewarding once you've started a journal to go and look back through your journal entries, because when I look back through mine, I can see actually how much my French writing has improved, which is literally so cool and really motivating as well. I think it's quite an easy thing to implement into your routine. You know, you can just literally spend like half an hour in your evening, probably even less, depending on how much you want to write, just writing about what happened in your day, how you're feeling, maybe what you want to do tomorrow, so you can practice your future tense, stuff like that. So definitely recommend. My next tip is such a good one and such a fun one. Watch films and TV shows in that language. Some of my favourite French TV shows to watch are 10%, Plan Cœur, Osmosis. Some of my favourite French films are Coco avant Chanel, La Haine, La Belle Époque. There are so many good foreign TV shows and films out there. Once you find your show, you will be binge watching it. So what I did during my A levels is I would watch the TV show or the film first of all with English subtitles, and then I would watch it again straight after with the French subtitles. So I think this is a good way, because obviously it can be quite difficult to just watch with no subtitles. So I think having the French subtitles there is like really helpful. So I definitely recommend that, because also you're hearing a lot of new words, so I think to see them is much more beneficial, and then to also write them down whilst you're watching it, so you're like actively engaging in it as well. I think it's also a really good way to really get to grips with the country's culture as well. So it's really interesting. For instance, Latin, a lot of French slang in there that, you know, I didn't learn at school. It's just really interesting to see different ways the language is spoken and stuff like that. So I've got a video coming where I literally just spend the whole video talking about all of my favourite French films and TV shows in much more depth and why I like them. If you want to see that, then give this video a like and subscribe, and that will be coming soon. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big podcast fan, so I really like to listen to podcasts in the language. This can be difficult because you're just hearing it, but I think it definitely makes you more comfortable with listening and actively engaging with what you're hearing. A really good podcast when you're starting out is News in Slow French. So this is basically just a podcast talking about everything that's going on, but it's in French and it's slow, so it's not quite up to the speed of what you would normally hear. One of my personal favourite ones is La Pute. I really love this one because it talks a lot about feminism. The host, she interviews different women. For example, she did an episode with Gloria Steinem. That one was actually in English, but it's just something that I'm really interested in, so I've been loving listening to that one. Even if you don't understand everything, don't get disheartened, because I think it's just a good way to get comfortable with the language that you're hearing. And podcasts are so fun. I'm always listening to podcasts. On my one walk of the day in lockdown, I'll listen to a podcast. Now, my next tip, I don't know about you guys, but I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I'm constantly getting into YouTube holes where I'm literally just on YouTube for like God knows how long. One way to improve is watch YouTubers who speak that language. Literally, if you don't know any of them, you can literally just go on Google and type in top 10 Spanish YouTubers. Tons of things come up. I mean, when I first started wanting to watch French YouTubers, I just did that. I started watching a few that I saw, and then once the YouTube algorithm noticed me watching specific videos by French YouTubers, I started getting recommended so many more French YouTubers on my recommended pages. Some of my favorites are Style Tonique, Juste Joe, Clara Victoria, Le Coin d'Elodie, Anastasia. Obviously, those are just my personal favourites. I really love watching all of them. Also, Damon Dominique. He isn't French, but he lives in Paris, and his videos are actually hilarious, and he gives a lot of good tips for learning languages. I think this is a really good way to literally hear native speakers. I learned so much from it. For example, in school, we're taught to say je ne sais pas, right? I don't think I've ever heard a French person say that. It's je sais pas. Like, that's just what people say. It's really common to drop the ne. My next tip is to follow social media accounts of that language. So what I mean by this is, like, I follow French BuzzFeed, so they basically post like all the same things BuzzFeed does, but it's all in French, which is really funny. French meme pages, like on Instagram and stuff. Combini is another really good Instagram account that I follow. It's kind of similar to BuzzFeed. I do have some more serious videos on there too. It's really cool to learn just like a lot about what's going on in France from French news outlets as well. It's really cool to read it in French. Read the news in the language you're learning. I mean, why not? Especially if you already have a rough idea about what's going on. I think that's definitely going to help you when it comes to reading it, because you've got some context there. My next tip is to literally just get creative. If there's something that you're really passionate about, like, I don't know, filmmaking or poetry, make something in that language. Write a poem in French. I mean, why not? Make a short film while you're at home in the language. I recently made a short film in French. I just did it with my best friend. I literally shot it in one day, and it's all in French, and I translated it myself, so it was a good little translation exercise for me. It was really fun. I think what it does is just helps you get excited about your language learning journey. It really motivates you as well. It's so important to stay motivated. I think you really need to actually love the learning process. My next tip is to watch like interviews on YouTube of like people that you admire who speak French. So for me, I often like to watch videos of Timothee chalamet.
Baby Sim Sim.
He is like really good at French. I know that he like spent summers in France when he was younger, because I think his dad's French. I don't know way too much about this boy. I'm just gonna stop talking about him. But the point is, watch videos of like people you admire. I know Emma Watson speaks French, so if you watch like interviews with them on YouTube, I think it's a really cool way to find out more about the person, but also hearing it in French, and also again makes it more enjoyable, more motivating. I'm a big movie lover as well. Obviously watching interviews of Timothee is Timothée, I should say, very motivating for me. Not just because he's an actor, but because
he's probably the most beautiful human being that I've ever seen in my life, and I'm never going to get over that, so.
My next tip is to definitely practice your speaking. You might be wondering, like, how do I do this? Especially if you don't know anyone else who speaks the language and you don't have anyone else you can talk to. Obviously, if you do, then definitely do that on a regular basis. If you don't, talk to to yourself. It sounds so dumb, but I'm literally doing it right now. This helped me so much during my A-level, and I think I actually grew to love speaking, and the speaking exam for A-level is actually very daunting. You literally have to be speaking French for like 20 to 25 minutes. It's literally such a good way. It's kind of the only way as well, when you don't have anyone else to talk to really practice your accent and your pronunciation. What I would do is I would record myself speaking and then listen back to it, so then I could hear exactly how I was sounding and if I mispronounced any words. I think this is a really cool thing you can do. My next tip is to listen to music from artists who sing or rap or whatever in that language. This is actually such a cool way to get, you know, immersed in the culture. Some of my favorite French artists are Angèle. She is literally a queen. Her music is literally insane. I discovered her from the YouTube channel Colours, which is a really cool YouTube channel to find really like amazing artists from all over the world. I would definitely recommend Angèle if you're learning French, because all her songs are actual bops. I love watching interviews of her on YouTube as well, because she's like a really cool person. I feel like once you start doing one thing, it kind of just leads on to other things, which is really, really cool. Like, it's not all about grammar books, and you can make it fun, even though grammar books are actually kind of important and would recommend that you get one. But I feel like you shouldn't just be aimlessly going through a textbook every single day. I feel like it's much more fun if you implement all of these tips that I'm giving. So Angèle is one of my favorite artists. Charlotte Cardin, she's actually Canadian, but a lot of her songs are in French. Stromae, he is literally so cool. I think most people know Stromae actually. Also, his music video for Babote, his music video for that is literally one of my favorite music videos ever. Go watch it. Also, than just listening to them, learn the lyrics. You know, like how when you're listening to a song in English and you know every single word and you're just jamming, do the same thing, literally. Even if it takes a bit longer, it's fine. It's such a good way to get your brain used to it, and a fun way as well. Lead up to my French A-level exam, I would only listen to French music, and this helped me so much. It gets to a point where after you do all these things, it kind of feels like second nature, and it doesn't seem so daunting anymore. It just makes it more enjoyable, really, and more interesting for you, because I feel like when you first start learning a language, you're learning quite boring vocabulary. Even though it's really, really important, it can get tedious. This is like new and exciting things you can do to spice it up. Also, a really good channel I would recommend you follow if you're learning French on YouTube is the Quotidien channel. It's like kind of like a talk show, and it's like a really cool way to be immersing yourself in the language. The host, he has on loads and loads of different artists, actors, singers, dancers, influential people, you name it, and he interviews them all, and it's so fun. My last tip would be to just enjoy yourself, and honestly, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Have fun with it, because I feel like that's kind of the only way you can get far. Like, and don't take yourself too seriously. It's okay at first for it to be daunting and for you to get things wrong. Like, that's just normal. I still get so many things wrong, but you kind of just have to like laugh it off and be like, haha, that was funny. Like, it is really, really hard. Like, learning a language is no easy task, but I think once you make it fun and start to enjoy it, it just becomes so much easier to push yourself to do harder things. Like, I remember the first time I went to France and spoke the language, I was absolutely terrified, but once I did it, I felt so good afterwards. That's the thing about learning a language. It's probably the most rewarding thing ever, and I would honestly recommend everyone to try and learn a language. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've got loads more language learning videos coming up soon, and videos on my favorite French films and TV shows, that's coming soon. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of that. Also, if you guys would like me to do a video on tips more specific to how I got an A in A-level French, do let me know. I'll be happy to do that for you guys. Happy language learning. By the time quarantine is over, you guys are gonna be fluent. I just know it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!